a TikTok, or even if you just know somebody within like a 50-mile radius of you who has a TikTok, then you are no stranger to who Keith Lee is. So with all the good work that we know that this man has done, and with him changing the lives of small business owners, like one business at a time, and he's not even looking for anything from them, why would somebody want to go and try to throw dirt on his name and tear him down? Exactly. So we're gonna get clocked in and we're gonna talk about it. So about 2 days ago, this creator on TikTok, who is an alleged Emmy Award winner for her, well, she didn't win any Emmys, but she is a script writer and she pitches shows to different networks, and apparently the shows that she's pitched have won different Emmys. So about 2 days ago, she posted a video on TikTok where people were believing that the person who she was talking about and was calling a thief in her videos was supposed to be Keith Lee. In her video, she talks about how she pitched an idea to a big creator, and basically that creator politely told her no thank you, that they didn't want to work with her. She said cool, whatever, went about her day. But now she's saying that that creator who turned her down took her idea and is now working with another network with what she gave them and with what she pitched to them. Now, the reason why a lot of people are or were assuming that she was talking about Keith Lee is because of the verbiage that she used in her video. She said that, oh yeah, it's this big creator here on TikTok that is beloved by all. And even in her caption, she used the hashtag food critic and thief. Now, when you put beloved by all and food critic in the same video, there's only one person on TikTok who all of TikTok is going to assume that you're talking about, and that is Keith Lee. There are a lot of food critics on TikTok. They, all have like their different platforms and all of these things. But when you say beloved by all, like, don't nobody have anything bad to say about them, girl, you're talking about Keith Lee. Like, it's not nobody else. Like, you can say beloved by some, you can say, known by a lot, but when you say beloved by all, girl, you're talking about Keith Lee. So people were coming into her comment section like, oh, like, is this about Keith? Are you talking about Keith? Like, oh, like Keith is a thief? Like, what? And people were making all of these assumptions in her comment section. And when people were asking these questions, she wasn't denying it. She wasn't telling them like, no, it's not about Keith. She never clarified who it was about, but she also never denied that her video that she made was about Keith. And when it came to people in her comment section who were talking down on Keith, or who were making like negative comments about him, or who were calling him a thief, those were the only people who she was responding to in her comment section, not to clarify anything, but to further add to the mystery or to the assumption that her video was about Keith Lee and calling him a thief, essentially. Now, when Keith found this video, he said, not me. And Keith isn't usually the one to respond to people trying to hate on him or to negative comments or to just bad comments. He'll usually just block people or just go about his day or just ignore it. But for somebody to make these type of allegations about him, or to make, to have people insinuating that these negative things that you're saying, especially calling him a thief, like these negative things that you're saying about him is about him. Like he said, you not about to throw dirt on my name. Rightfully so. Like, so Keith went ahead and he made a response video, and of course he came with the receipts. He said Miss Jillian reached out to him back in December, around December 11th, I believe. And I guess she commented something in his comment section saying that she wanted to pitch an idea to him. So Keith DM'd her, basically saying like, hey, you said you wanted to pitch an idea to me, yada, yada, yada. Here's my email. We can discuss business. And so when she reached out to him and pitched the idea, he said that he had already been in the works with someone else with a similar idea, so he politely declined the offer. Now, the idea that she pitched to him was kind of a mixture of what he had already been doing with his videos and with the idea of Undercover Boss, basically him doing food critic reviews on different businesses, but he's doing it in a disguise so that people don't know who he is. Now, just a little while before that, Keith had already been going into businesses and was rating them based off of their customer service, based off of their food and all of these things, and was giving his like open and honest review of them. But at that time, he only had about like 2 million followers, which really is already a lot. But with his influx of new followers and people coming to his page specifically for these reviews, and people reaching out to him specifically to review their small business, he has gained a whole lot of traffic on his page. This man is now sitting at 9.7 million followers. From December to January 24th of today, this man has gained over 7 million followers on his platform for doing food reviews of small businesses alone to help those businesses not have to close their doors. And I guess a part of the idea that she pitched to Keith included him going undercover, because now he has so many followers that he is very recognized, and he does a lot of these reviews in Las Vegas where he resides. So a lot of businesses in Vegas are aware of who he is. So part of her idea was to have him go undercover. And recently, Keith's sister did some face altering makeup on him, made him look like an old man essentially, and just like completely changed like his appearance so that he can go into these businesses in disguise, and so he's not recognized by these people, so that he can still give an honest review and that he's not treated differently, and he can still rate them on their customer service honestly, on their food honestly, so that he's not treated any differently than any regular patron going into that establishment would be treated. So with all of that, it makes sense why Keith would now be doing these things that are similar to what she pitched. But again, he was already in the works doing these things, and she wasn't the only one who like gave him this idea. There have been thousands upon thousands, maybe even millions of people in his comment sections, like for a long time now, that have been telling him the exact same thing. Like, you should have a show, you should be going undercover to different restaurants around the country, around the world, wherever, and going in there in a disguise so that you can do these food reviews, and like it can be a bigger thing and you can expand like beyond TikTok. Her idea was not original at all to be claiming that, well, if she was talking about Keith, to be claiming that this was an idea that he stole from her. So after Keith Lee made his response video to her original post, as he should, she went ahead and made another video responding to his, saying that she was not talking about Keith, essentially. But there's a lot of stuff in her video that really didn't make sense. And where she really was kind of contradicting herself, like from what she originally said in her first video. Now, something that really rubbed me the wrong way in her second video is the fact that she started it off by saying like, this is just a response and not an apology, which, girl, you really do owe Keith an apology, because whether you named him or not, what you did was intentional. Whether it was just to get more like interactions with your page by leaving his name to linger in your comment section, knowing what would come of it, or like you actually were talking about him, that what you did was wrong because you never cleared his name and he had to clear his own name. So for you to start off your video with saying that like this is just a response and not an apology, like we already know what type of time you own. So first, she claims that the person who she was talking about in that video was somebody who she was in the works with, like they had they were talking negotiations and drawing up contracts with networks and all of this stuff, but then the person decided that they no longer wanted to work with her, and then they basically dropped out and then stole her pitch idea, which doesn't make sense because in her first video she said that she reached out to a big creator, pitched her idea to them, and then they politely said that they didn't want to work with her and said no. But now you're saying that you pitched an idea, they were on board with it, y'all were in the works, doing negotiations, coming up with contracts, all this stuff, and then the person decided that they no longer wanted to do it. Like that's like me saying like, oh, somebody asked me if I wanted to go to dinner this weekend, but I told them no, versus somebody asked me if I wanted to go to dinner with them this weekend and I say, yeah, we can do Saturday at 7 and we can go to this upscale restaurant and dress pretty. But then when Saturday comes around, then I tell them, never mind, on Saturday morning. You see how there's a difference between an immediate like decline versus a whole like trail of things happening and then a decline. Like, get your story together, babes. And then she had the audacity to say that she never said that the video was about Keith, and she didn't think that Keith would think that the video was about him. Like I said, in her first video, she literally had people in her comment section, thousands of people in her comment section, asking her if it was Keith, if it was Keith Lee, adding this man, using hashtags with this man's name, saying this man's government name, Ronnie's husband, Carter and Riley's daddy, Keith Lee, the man who be doing food reviews, the man with 9.7 million followers on TikTok that's changing the lives of small business owners. Like, people were asking her if it was about Keith, and she refused to like clarify if it was or wasn't about him. Like, even if you don't name the actual person that it was supposed to be about, you still never said that it wasn't about him. So for you to let those comments linger and then you only respond to comments that are like talking down on him and talking down on his character, calling this man out of his name, calling him a thief and all of this stuff, like, why wouldn't he think that it was about him when you let that video sit for 2 days, let all of those comments sit for 2 days, and never not once clarified anything or cleared this man's name? And then what really rubbed me the wrong way is the fact that she tried to blame the negative comments that people were leaving on her videos on Keith. Like, somebody, and I don't even condone people doing this type of stuff like myself, because it was never that deep, but someone went into her comments on a video where she was talking about her miscarriage and said some very like nasty and disgusting things pertaining to her miscarriage. And she said that Keith needs to understand that with the platform that he has, it comes with a different type of responsibility. And for him to say things about her, assuming that she was talking about him, and then now he has people coming to her comment section making nasty comments about her miscarriage and Keith's name, that somehow that's Keith's fault. That's what we not gonna do, because in Keith's video, in his response to you, and in anything that Keith ever says addressing anything, whenever he does address stuff, Keith is always going to let it be known that he doesn't condone any type of bullying, any type of harassment, any type of negativity towards any other like content creator. If you have something to say about what Keith is talking about, he would prefer you to put it in his comments. But even still, if somebody is in his comments talking negatively about another creator that he has to address, he's going to delete those comments, and he might even block you. So to sit up here and say that it's his responsibility for somebody saying that, when you were responsible for letting people sit in your comments, when you could have clarified things and you could have like cleared this man's name, like, you really have no room to put that type of burden or that type of responsibility on Keith when you couldn't even say anything about him, and you had thousands of people speaking bad on this man. Again, it is not right for anybody to ever speak on any situation like that or to joke about that, because you don't know like what those type of comments about things like that can do to a person emotionally and mentally. And I would never condone that myself, but that's not something that you have the right to put on Keith. And then she kind of leaves off her video by saying that if she thought that Keith was the person who stole from her, that she would have reached out to him. And I call BS, because whoever this big creator was that you were supposedly talking about, you didn't even reach out to them. You went straight to TikTok and you like aired out what it was going on between y'all two, and you didn't reach out to them. So what would make Keith Lee any different if he's just another big creator who is on TikTok? Like, what's the difference between him and the actual person that you were talking about? Because not once did you say that you reached out to that person at all. And also in her video, she was claiming that she was thinking about fighting for her rights to this person using her idea and having it greenlit with another network, but she doesn't know if she's gonna do that because it's a long process and she doesn't know if she wants to go through with it. But my thing is that yes, intellectual property can be a pretty tricky thing to prove, and to prove that the original idea was yours. But if you're in negotiations, if you're drawing up contracts, you got emails, you discussing all of this stuff with this person, with networks, with, like everything, it wouldn't be hard for you to prove that this was your idea that you brought to them, and that they kind of kicked you out of the room where they're discussing it and went ahead and went on with your idea without including you. It wouldn't be that hard of a process if you were already doing all of those things. So again, that just makes me be like, what's really going on? Like, who you really talking about? Were you ever actually like working on something? And really, girl, we know that you was talking about Keith. Like, if you gonna say something, like, stand 10 toes down on it. Like, don't be beating around the bush. Don't come to us with all of these BS excuses. Don't like double back on what you said at first. Don't turn off your comments, because if you stand on what you said, then stand on what you said. If you were wronged by somebody, you were wronged by them. And if you feel entitled to whatever it is that you lended to them, go get your coin. All in all, like, we ride for Keith. We stand for Keith. Everybody 10 toes down for Keith. And this is a Keith Lee stan account and a Keith Lee family stan account. And we don't play those games, because Keith has done nothing but try to make the world a better place. He has used his platform to uplift other people and to bring other people up without wanting anything out of it. He pays for everything that he gets from these places. He doesn't charge them for anything. He turns down whatever they offer him for free, like, unless they just go ahead and give it to him anyway. Like, this man has such a big and pure heart. But to see somebody try and tear him down only speaks negatively about that person and not about Keith, because we know what type of person he is. And there's a lot of people on these platforms who like to front for the video and who like to make it seem like they about this, and they not. But people who have seen Keith on and off camera all will say the same thing, that is one of the only pure hearted people that we like have with a big platform right now. So we're gonna continue to support Keith and his family. If you don't like it, too bad. That's all we got for today. I'll catch y'all next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on those post notifications. And I'm going to see y'all next time. Clocking out.